All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our weekly Bringing Calm to COVID global gathering. So nice to see everyone here. I know we have folks from, it looks like, Seattle, India, Philadelphia, Texas. I see Carol from North Carolina and Ruth from Sunnyvale, California, Lotus in Canada, Lydia in Idaho. And we have Wilmington, Delaware, and Southern California, all kinds of locations all over the world. So welcome. I'm so glad you're all here today. And the purpose of these gatherings is to offer some guided meditations, wisdom talks, and other tools and resources to support everyone during this unprecedented time. So we've had some wonderful teachers as our guests during these Bringing Calm to COVID gatherings. If you haven't seen those, if you haven't caught those other folks live, definitely check out the recordings of the sessions. All the sessions have been recorded, so you can watch them on the recording page or on YouTube. We've had PhD Rick Hansen talking about the neurology behind stress and how to calm your nervous system. We've had Gay and Katie Hendricks teach us fear melters. They are New York Times bestselling authors, and their session was phenomenal. Let's see, we had Stanford Business School professor, one of my favorite professors when I was there, Carol Robin, give a talk on leadership in times of crisis. So just tons of great recordings. We had Shefali Safari, who's been on Oprah and wrote books on conscious parenting. We've had Martha Beck. So tons of great teachings available, and I highly recommend that you watch some of those recordings if you didn't catch those live. Today, we're gonna start with a little discussion just to hear where people are at today and this week. I don't know about you, but every day is different during this COVID time. There's like every hour can be different. You know, there's the roller coasters of emotions and feelings and situations. So we're going to do a little bit of a check-in with some folks who are on the line. And then I'm going to lead a guided meditation to help you feel more grounded and centered and relaxed and calm. And then we'll be doing a little bit of a wisdom talk. All right, so to kick it off, I'd just love to hear from a few folks. How are you? What's going on in your world today? And what is your biggest, frustration or pain point right now? And I know it can be different every day. I'm just curious what folks are struggling with today, or what you're noticing. So you can either type in the chat, or we have set this up as a Zoom meeting intentionally to make it a lot more interactive. So you can also just unmute yourself and share. So I'd love to hear from a couple people. How are you? What's going on?
I'll start.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so when the whole COVID thing started, I struggled with, I live alone, and so, struggled with having to stay 6 feet away from everybody on the planet. And then I got into a routine, and I really loved it, as my introvert self is really loving it. But in the last few days, I've come back to really missing connection with people. And so that's what I'm back to struggling with is that connection. I've done things like, I'll meet a friend at the park, and we'll have dinner 6 feet away, which does satisfy a little bit of that need for connection that I have. But I'm just dying for some physical contact with someone.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. It's not easy and vulnerable, perhaps. I know I'm like giving you an air hug right now. Yeah, it is like there's no, replacement for physical touch. And I will say Kristen Neff, some of her research has shown that we can, when we do put our hand on our heart and kind of give what's called soothing touch, just like stroking our own arms, it does release some of those feel-good chemicals and hormones in the body, but it's not the same as when you get it from somebody else. So I feel you, Laura. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and anyone else want to share how you're doing? What's up for you today?
Yeah, so I'd like to join. Am I audible to everyone? Am I audible?
We can hear you.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say that due to this all COVID-19, my sleep schedule is like affected, like badly affected. Earlier, I used to sleep for like 10 hours or maybe 11 hours at max. But now I hardly sleep for like 2 hours, then I get up and then I sleep. I mean, it's really messed up now.
Mm.
And the thing that, that really is, I mean, that was a pain for me because in July I was, gonna go to Greece and maybe Amsterdam for my vacations, and that really, that really, set me back. This thing really set me back, and I don't know when I can, enjoy my trip again. So that really is a sad point in my life now.
Yeah, yeah. When you're really looking forward to a vacation and that's like you've been building up, oh, that's going to be my time to rest and relax and enjoy it, and then it's taken away. There can even be a grieving about the loss of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. And I'm curious with the sleeping, are you noticing? So you fall asleep and then you just wake up 2 hours later? Is it your mind recycling certain worries or thoughts, or what
Uh,
seems to be happening?
Not exactly. Earlier, I was very, I was physically very active, as in I used to work out and all. But then, off late, I'm like restricted to my home premises, and then I'm not able to work out any. I mean, I don't have any access to any gyms and all. So I think I'm just just working, and that is, I mean, just working and sitting straight for 9 hours in front of my computer. That has really messed up my sleep, and it it's happening as in, I mean, I sleep for 2 hours, I get up, and then I'm not able to sleep again. So I'm really looking for a vacation. I mean, when this thing burns off, really, really.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds, I bet. Oh, well, I'm feeling you. Thank you for sharing. And it's hard to feel happy when you're not sleeping. It just is.
Yeah.
Yeah, sleep is like the foundation of everything. And I'd recommend just making a commitment to figure out what's going to support you in getting more rest, and making that a priority in your life right now. So even though you can't go to the gym, it sounds like for you, working out really helps you be able to sleep. So maybe, it's making a commitment to try some online exercise classes, even if you're using like some heavy object in your house as a weight and you don't have weights and it's not as good as you'd like. I've been trying these different classes online and I haven't found one that's very good, but it's better than nothing. Maybe, so just, I would invite you to think about making your sleep a priority and getting curious, what can you do to add to make yourself more resourced to sleep better? And you are your own best authority. So whether that's taking some homeopathic sleep aids or exercising more, I'll put a link. I have a deep sleep guided meditation that uses hypnosis to help you fall asleep into a deep sleep. You could try that. I'm not saying I have the answer, because I don't. But I think sometimes we can also it's like we put up with too much in our lives. Like we put up with things not being okay, rather than saying, I'm going to do whatever the heck it takes to get more sleep. And I don't even know what that means, but I'm going to make a commitment to like figuring this out and making it a priority. And if I have to like do something temporarily to get me through this period, whether that's some sleep assistance or buying earplugs, who knows what it is, but yeah. So I'm saying and I know that vacation, that's hard when you lose that too. And it's like, oh, an eye mask. There you go. That's a great one. I've never seen one like that. I like it. Yeah. So you already have the sleep gear. Sounds like, I'm sure you've tried some things. But who knows? I mean, seriously, if oh, go ahead. You were going to say something.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Yeah. Just setting an intention of like, I need to find something to help me with this, and then being open to what comes your way as an answer. Thank you for sharing. And I'm sure you're not the only one struggling with sleep and sad about missing a vacation. I looked at my calendar last week and it said like Italy, staying at this hotel in Italy on my calendar, because I was supposed to be in Italy on vacation. And I was like, oh, I wish I took that off my calendar. It's depressing. All right. Who else wants to share how you're doing? And I know some people typed in. Lisa said balancing, supporting the kids with homeschool and work commitments. Yes, Lisa, it's a lot. And I don't know about you, but the parents I've talked to this week are starting to feel like fatigue homeschool fatigue. I'm curious what your experience is, Lisa. Oh, there you go.
Okay, I'm unmuted. You know, I think the big thing is just holding loving kindness and presence and understanding that the kids are going through their own experience of this. And so, you know, for my husband and I, it's about how do we continue to keep the wheels on the bus and pivot, you know, businesses and keep everything going. But the kids are exposed to a whole other set of challenges that we're not experiencing, like through, you know, connecting with friends on social media, all of a sudden having all of their connection points online, but not having actual like teacher instruction. And, you know, in our house, we have some special needs and learning disabilities. And so it's just letting go of everything else that doesn't matter right now so that we can show up, you know, from a place of care and support and be grateful, you know, that we have each other. But it's tough. And, you know, to your point, depending on the day, if someone asks, how are you doing? It depends what day you ask me. Most of the time it's great, but I'm just really aware of what the kids are going through as well. And just everybody's having their own experience.
Yeah, that is a great way. Everyone is having their own experience. And that's what's interesting. It's on all levels. You know, both adults are trying to navigate all of this, then the kids, and then as a family, there's no one who is immune to the effects of COVID right now.
And then also, you know, putting yourself in that equation as well, like the loss of personal space and like the opportunity to just work out whenever you want. My quiet time and when I got all my work done was when the kids went to school, and now we're all sharing space. And so it's being intentional and knowing that it's going to pass and not everything's going to be the way it was. So what do we want to hold on to and what do we want to make our priority in all of this? And it's, you know, happiness and, you know, to find a way to do it joyfully as best we can. And
Yeah,
that's
I love that. Well, I love that. Just asking, what do you want to make a priority? I agree, you know, and that's going to tie in with something we're going to do after the meditation of just getting clear on like what's important to me in this moment and in this moment, you know, getting clear on your priorities as a family and really standing strong in that and just letting go of the rest. Like if homeschooling is making my child miserable and what's our priorities being happy, then we're not going to finish all your assignments today, you know, and so that's beautiful that you're thinking about what your priorities are and your values and staying true to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And it looks like Tristan, so good to see you here, Tristan. She said, my husband and I don't know whether to return to the US from Peru. Yeah, lots of like big choices and decisions people are, you know, needing to make. Amy said, I'm doing a lot more yoga, dog walking, music, but missing hugging people, especially with a few recent deaths in our family. I know it can feel so hard to hear sad news and not be able to give someone a hug. And I actually finally let one of my really close friends who lives a few blocks away, I let her give me a hug the other day. And we've both been, our families in complete quarantine for 2 weeks. And we just decided, you know what, we're going to let our families start to interact a little bit more. And, you know, I want to be really clear. I support the health guidelines. And I also feel like people need to make their own judgments as well as we start to think about what things are going to look like and your own mental sanity and your family's mental health. And so, you know, if it's like, I feel good about hugging this one person, maybe you do that. It's up, you know, everyone has to find out the right path for them in this situation. Lots of recommendations about sleeping better, cardio online and YouTube, yoga, a sleep tea and no technology before bed. Thank you, Lotus. Kathleen said, I'm way tired of adulting, adulting. Yeah, I feel you, Kathleen. It does feel tiring. And to your point too, Lisa, around your space, like I feel that too as I work from my home office and it's hard to have sacred space right now. I was talking to a girlfriend yesterday who's became CEO of a company in February, and then like the pandemic hit. And so she's had a very stressful time. And she said, I really miss my office. I miss going to the office. And she said, someone asked her, what do you miss about the office? And she goes, my kids aren't there and my team is there. Like, yep. All right. And oh, good, Lotus. Lotus said, I'm getting into a routine with one kid in grade 9, the other in grade 11. My kids have been amazing. Shannon said, book clubs are helping. Yes. Excellent. So anyone else have something you want to share about what's going on for you today or this week? Yes, Jessica Ferguson. There you go.
Hi.
Hi.
I'll share. This is the first time I've joined in like 2 months. I think the first one I joined was when I was in job transition. So it's been tough to be able to do these because I technically am supposed to be working right now, but I wanted to join another one because I found it really helpful. But I guess I have a little bit different perspective, not being a parent, but being a young adult. But I originally had 3 roommates and I now have 1 roommate that's remained here and the 2 are somewhere else. So I guess I empathize with like people that have kids and have to work at the same time. Like that's like a super added challenge, but I also understand, I guess, a little bit maybe what your kids are going through. I mean, I know I'm not in school anymore. Like I'm like 4 years out of college, but still like my parents don't live far away, but like I haven't been able to see them and I haven't, been able to like give my parents a hug, and it's been really challenging. But also like, I think the most positive things for me have been like, I have access to going on a lot of hikes and like walking in nature. And that's been like my savior. But definitely navigating a new job during COVID was like very challenging. Like it's gotten a lot better. It's been about a month, but I learn best when I'm like with other people. Yeah. So doing it through Slack and Zoom has been very bizarre.
Yeah, when you don't get to read any of those like facial cues, like all the kinds of things you can sense when you're in the room with people, to start a new job virtually is so challenging because you don't have that feedback loop either. So it's like, just getting a read on your colleagues, your boss, your team is completely different.
Yep. And it was definitely a situation where I was thrown into the fire, I will call it a little bit, because they really needed help, but it, even before I even had like deposit stuff set up for like money and my email, it was like, no, we need your help now. And it was just like, whoa, like, so for me to manage my anxiety, my stresses, like the first 2 weeks were very challenging. And I felt like I wasn't like stopping working, and I was working like crazy hours. And so like, I've really been trying to like put myself first, because I think I was putting the job first for the first 2 weeks, but I'm like, I am already going to burn out. Yeah. So that was something that I had to like take a step back and put myself, like I said, first.
Yay! Good for you. And here you are today. And you're about to do a meditation that's going to help you feel more calm and relaxed. So
awesome.
And you know what the really crazy thing is? That it's like we feel guilty, like, oh, if I put myself first, I'm not going to do as good of a job. But the irony is that by putting yourself first, you're going to be a more effective employee, a more productive employee, and you're actually going to do better work and have more creativity and be more resourced. So like, I mean, that's so great that you have that awareness of, I'm going to burn out if I keep going at this pace, and then it's not going to serve me. It's not going to serve them. So, and I get it too, where you're starting a new job, it's really stressful. You want to prove yourself, and it's completely understandable that you would give so much of yourself the first 2 weeks, and the fact that you've already had that awareness and just pulled back just a little to show up here today and get something for you, that you're doing that already after just 2 weeks is amazing. Like, yay! So many people would go like 6 months at the new job before they would pull back and go, wait a minute, I'm feeling burned out. What about me? So I think it's huge that you're doing that after 2 weeks and you're already starting to think about, okay, how can I feed myself so that I
It's
can.
been a month.
Okay, well, still, like during a pandemic, starting a new job, like give yourself some credit.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And if you look at the comments, Sylvie said, it's amazing that you started a new job during such special times. So people are saying, way to go.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, I'll mute myself again.
Excellent. Okay, well, I want to start to transition into the meditation I'm going to share with you all today, which is a very different type of meditation than what I normally do, and I'm very excited about it. And it's funny how this stuff works, but I literally came across this practice yesterday and randomly and was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to be sharing tomorrow. I find that always happens with teaching for me. So I wanted to just start by talking a little bit actually about Taoism, which I don't normally, but just to give you a little bit of context, and then we'll go into the meditation. So there were two primary streams of philosophical thought in ancient China, Confucianism and Taoism. And Taoism was largely mystical, concerned with one's relationship to the cosmos. So the foundation of Taoism is based on this abstract concept known as the Tao, which is this ephemeral field of intelligence that is said to be responsible for the entire universe. It is the source of all things. And from the immense mystery of the Tao, which creates all worlds, there is this eternal flow of vital force energy known as qi. And you've heard maybe through acupuncture, or if you're familiar with different types of movement classes, you might have heard of qi. And the Taoists believed that there were these dragon points, which were places of convergence where one form of qi meets another. And the interesting thing I was reading yesterday is that a lot of these Taoist sages spent a lot of their time as hermits in nature, and they would live far from cities in places where the qi was especially strong, often in areas designated as dragon points. And so they would, for example, they said dragon points were most dramatically seen in mountain ranges, like where two ridges meet each other, and there's often a trench or a gorge that flows down the sides of the mountains. That's a dragon point. Or where two streams or rivers converge, there's a detectable increase of qi, and this too is called a dragon point. And it made me think of when they talked about these Taoist sages and how they would search for places and put their homes either in the dragon point itself or nearby. And just this sense of landscapes having different energy flows to them, and it made me think of Kauai, the island in Hawaii. For me, I was like, oh, there's got to be lots of dragon points there, because when I go there, I feel so resourced from an energy standpoint. So the meditation we're going to do today is called the Celestial Gate Meditation, and it's based on dragon points. So because dragon points are places of convergence where one form of qi meets another, there are actually several dragon points within the human body. And the Celestial Gate is one of these dragon points. And it happens to be a place where they believe heavenly qi, which is a very subtle form of qi, flows into the body and meets the terrestrial or the earth qi of the body itself. So they believe that this area is an energetically charged area. And there's a way that you can kind of take advantage of that by focusing on that area. And this meditation I'm going to share today, just to give it credit, is from page 155 of this book, which is called The Magdalene Manuscript. It's a very spiritual, somewhat esoteric text, so maybe not for everyone, but I have been thoroughly enjoying it. And what I'd like for you to do now is to sit comfortably and allow your eyes to gently close. And you can lie down if you wish, although for some people this makes them go to sleep. So if you're feeling really tired, I wouldn't recommend that. And for a moment, just notice your breath. And don't change it in any way. Simply watch it. Notice the rhythm and the depth of your breath. Then, after a moment, become aware of the space about an inch behind the bridge of the nose. Imagine that there is an opening about 1 inch square in this area. This is the celestial gate. All you need to do is focus on it. Do not concentrate on it, just be aware of it. If your mind wanders, if you're having thoughts or fantasies, this is not a problem. Let them continue on their merry way. Just let some part of your attention be on the opening. You can think all you want about anything you want, and the practice will still work, so long as some part of your attention is on the celestial gate, the opening. As you continue to focus at the gate, about 1 inch square behind the bridge of the nose, about 1 inch behind the bridge of the nose. As you continue to focus on this area at the gate, you will notice that thoughts seem to slow down. There will seem to be more spaces between the thoughts or fantasies. And eventually, they will stop altogether, if only temporarily. During these moments, when the thoughts stop altogether or temporarily, you might even find that your breath has stopped or has become very shallow. This is natural and is, in fact, a sign that you are entering the deeper states of stillness. It is in these deepest states of quiescence where there is no breath and no thought that contact with the Tao takes place. So just continuing to focus on this dragon point of the celestial gate, becoming aware, staying aware of the space about an inch behind the bridge of the nose. Continuing to imagine that there is an opening about 1 inch square in this area. Simply being aware of this celestial gate. Remembering that it's okay to have thoughts or fantasies. This is not a problem, as long as some part of your attention remains on the opening, on the celestial gate. Even as your attention wanders, seeing if you can notice that some part of you remained aware of this opening, of this celestial gate. Don't let the simplicity of this meditation fool you. It is a profound stillness practice that will lead you directly to the Tao itself. Now starting to come back to this present moment, noticing any sounds inside the room or outside the room, feeling the support of the chair, the floor beneath you. And as you're ready, allowing your eyes to gently open. And the author of this book says that doing that practice for about 5 minutes, which is what we just did, will usually give you a clear sense of how that practice can alter your awareness. And then eventually you can extend the period of time for deeper experiences. And I'm curious if anyone wants to share what you noticed or experienced during that short version of connecting with the celestial gate. Again, you can type in the chat or you can unmute yourself to share. And Shannon said, I was introduced to the Tao by Wayne Dyer's book, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. Amazing inspiration on better ways to live. Yes, thank you for sharing. Vanessa, hello, bonjour.
Oui, bonjour Vanessa and everybody. It was very insightful. I don't know why. My experience of it was very, I don't know how to qualify it. I will just describe it. I just had that smell coming at me of fire. No image, just the smell. I can't explain.
Wow, how interesting.
Yeah, maybe the dragon was there, I don't know. I don't know. But,
yeah, maybe the dragon was there. I love that.
Afterwards, it was very, very interesting. The way you were suggesting not to judge yourself and to come back to the focus. So I like it a lot. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
No problem.
Anyone else want to share? You can unmute yourselves. It looks like
I'm mute. Can you
Hi,
hear?
Linda. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I thought I was mute. I thought I'd muted. I thought I was mute. I found this really interesting because this was, I think, one of the first meditations where instead of saying if your mind wanders, just gently bring it back, it was you can let your mind wander, just keep part of it focused on the space, and on the celestial gate. And I found it easier for my mind to be empty this time than usual, than in other meditations. And I just found that was really striking because I felt a different kind of calm coming over me.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I agree. There's something about saying it's fine if the mind wanders as long as a portion of your attention remains here. That's kind of liberating. And in a weird way, it like helps you not try to control the thoughts as much. And in some way, they just like they dissipate more.
Right.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Allie said she felt peace, and Anne said it felt calming. Paula said, I didn't want to come back, very relaxing. And Sylvie said, I kept yawning. I guess the gate really needed to be found and opened. And Darlene said, lovely, a sense of flow and love. Thank you, everyone. Anyone else want to share what you noticed or experienced? Okay. Well, I'm glad you all enjoyed that. I've been enjoying that practice as well. So it's something you can just do on your own. Set a timer for a certain amount of time, and then just sit in meditation and focus on that point of the celestial gate, that dragon point, for however many minutes. And over time, you can extend it. I like to touch the bridge of my nose before I do it to kind of remember where it is, because I feel like I'm going to my third eye sometimes, and then I'm like, no, it's lower. But you can play around with it and see what works for you. And the reason I wanted to start with that meditation was because today I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the concepts of qi that come from Taoism, specifically around yin and yang and how that relates to what we're all going through globally right now. And so, in Taoism, they talk about the flow of qi directly and how you can cultivate it and draw it into the body. And you can, by turning your attention to your qi body, you can kind of have a stronger physical body as well. And what they say is that if either the physical body or the qi body is depleted, then you can't really go through these different types of spiritual transformation. And so it's important to pay attention to the flow of the qi through your body. And there's all kinds of ways you can do that. And, there's different practices, and I won't be going into all of them today, but you just had a slight sampling of one of them. And one of the concepts I wanted to talk about today is around balancing these two opposing forces called yin and yang. And so the deeply intuitive sages of ancient China explored actually the patterns of creation within nature. And one of the things they discovered was that there were these two complementary yet sometimes opposing forces called yin and yang. And yang is the sun. It's associated with light and heat. It's kinetic, meaning that it's energy in motion, and it moves very decisively. Lightning is yang, the sun is yang. And then yin, on the other hand, is the moon. It's moist and cool and dark. It is potential energy. It's not kinetic. So, yin would be a seed sitting underground. It's under the influence of yin, they would say. It's in this dark, cool place. And then when the sun comes out and its heat warms the soil, the seed begins to grow. But it's the balance of the yin and the yang that produces life. So if you have too much of the cool, dark, wetness, the watery part of yin, and the seed will rot. But if you have too much, and it'll shrivel up and dry out and die. So you really need this balance. And yin and yang are not static forces. Many of you might be familiar with that symbol that's often black and white with the two dots and the wavy line. And the point is that they're continually transforming into each other. So yin becomes yang and yang becomes yin. And though we can't see them directly, we can experience their effects and their impact. And often I've heard yang associated as being more masculine, and yin, people often say, is more feminine. So yang is that sense of full of power and direction, and yin is receptive and resting. And for the most part, we're usually unaware of yin, even though it affects us on many levels. So that in Taoist alchemy, they're focused on this balancing of yin and yang. And in our modern lifestyle, especially in the West, the industrialized West, it's very destructive of well-being because we're overly fixated on yang. You know, we honor productivity and action and go, go, go. We do not, as a culture, really value or understand or respect inaction. If anything, it's considered weak. You know, we kind of like hype ourselves up with caffeine and other drugs. We're obsessed with speed and productivity. And so we are so yang and so proud of being so yang. And what I find really interesting about this moment in time with the global pandemic, it's sort of like everything's gotten so out of balance that it's kind of forcing us into a yin period. So I think, you know, we've been so out of balance in yang energy, it's ultimately become very destructive for us individually. People are more stressed out and burned out and anxious and on more antidepressants than ever before, but also collectively with our planet, we're destroying the planet. And there's, you know, so there's all these signs that are showing us that we have become very out of balance. And the thing that's really interesting to consider that we don't generally grasp, especially in the West, is that yang comes out of yin. So you need the rest, the renewal, the periods of going inward to cultivate the energy for the next yang period, for the next yang. You can't just be like boom, 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 go, go, go all the time, because you know, like as Jessica was saying, you will burn out. So you really need both. And, you know, in the West, especially in the United States, I would say, we're uncomfortable with leaving any space or moment in time unfilled. There's this sense that every minute of the day has to be scheduled, has to be filled. And I don't know about you, but when I have nothing to do, I actually start to feel anxious because I've gotten so used to being on this hamster wheel. And even when I'm trying to do self-care, I'm yang about it. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna schedule my self-care. I will, you know, pre-COVID, like I'm gonna book a massage or I'm gonna go on a hike. And I get very like action-oriented even about my rest. And I'm not even really letting myself collapse and do nothing and just see where my impulses guide me or lead me. So yin is really about, like, so our body is not equipped to remain in yang states for long periods of time. It needs yin. It needs time to do nothing, time to rest, time to just dream and relax. And that's how you get to these states of poised balance. So today I just wanted to talk about this concept of yin and yang because I think it can, you know, many of us are familiar with it, but it's just a nice framework to think about what we're going through individually and globally. And can we allow ourselves to really fully pause during this yin moment in our timeline as a culture, as an individual? How can you really rest in that yin moment with yourself and the way that you're moving through the world right now, so that whatever action you take after this period has all of that like rich soil of your seed really resting and renewing during this pause? And just starting to get clear and ask yourself, you know, what that might look like for you. There was a woman in one of my group programs earlier this week who was saying she's an executive coach and she works at Salesforce. So she's an employee at Salesforce and also coaches other leaders at Salesforce. And she said, you know, Vanessa, I just paused my coaching right now because I don't feel resourced. I don't have enough energy to be coaching other people right now with what's going on in the world with me personally. So she just said no. She just took a break from it and is not doing it right now. And so I'm inviting you today to think about how can you be even more yin? And I know we've been in shelter in place, so that feels like this very yin-like experience. But I don't know about you, but I'm still like trying to be yang a lot of the time, even while I'm sheltering in place. So just getting curious about this balance of yin and yang, and where do you feel like you're out of balance today? What do you need more of? Maybe you feel like you've actually been so yin and you're ready for some action and some yang to kind of balance it out. So that's a framework that can be a helpful way to think about just how you manage your energy and your time. And I'm curious if people have any thoughts about that. And Sylvie, I don't know if you want to share what you typed in, if you just want to share it, if you feel comfortable chatting. Here, let me unmute you. There we go.
Oh, you mean verbally. Okay. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I was feeling exactly just before I took this live, I was just telling my husband how I didn't do much today except homework. But beside that, I didn't do much or as much as I wanted to do. And I was feeling like a bit, I don't know. In the same time, I started beating myself up because I didn't do much. And then I realized, well, that's okay. That's just today. And then I remember, oh yeah, but you said that yesterday and the day before and the day before. And I said, okay, that's just the week. Let's put it this way. And all of a sudden you speak about this different energy. And I don't know, I can relate to that very much today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and it is almost like, okay, today I get a hall pass. Oh, and tomorrow I get a hall pass. And then this week, oh, this month, oh, 2 months. But really, it's massive what we're going through. And so what if, instead of it being like, oh, I didn't get enough done, what if the point is for your seed to kind of be germinating and resting and renewing during this whole period? And that is the work.
Mm.
And what if that's how you get a gold star, like by doing less? That's actually the work you're meant to do every day.
Mm.
Just to sort of toy around with the idea and reframe it a little bit. Anyone else want to share? Oh, Darlene, yes, go ahead. You can unmute yourself. Hello, welcome.
I love the meditation, by the way, and I love the idea of a gateway.
Kind of breaking up.
And we have to rock.
Yeah, you might need
Is
to
it
go
better?
where your internet connection is really strong.
I'm go closer to the router. So my husband and I have been we've been wanting to we're landscaping our front yard months ago, and we had to take a bunch of rocks out of the dirt. And I told him I want to wash the rocks. I don't know why I said that. Then the COVID happened, and I started this wash rocking process. And I told my coach, my life coach, I was going very slowly, and she said, how about we use the word leisurely? And that changed everything. And so I started using that word leisurely for everything. And in my childhood, everything was about go, 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 speed. And I really feel like I knew I was healing and transforming something and rewiring. I didn't want to overthink it, because it was about doing, putting my hands in the water, admiring every single rock. I mean, I was really having a mindful experience with this, and beautiful rocks. It's like over 1,000. And my friend came over and he tried to help, but he wanted to do it in the yang way. Now I realize I was doing it in the yin way, now that you're talking about this. And I felt very protective, and I felt a stomach ache, like, no, this is mine. And I told him I'm having a process with it, a Zen experience, is what I said. And now I'm realizing, I think he was so wired for yang, it kind of caused friction. But my whole point is I've added the leisurely to almost everything, deliberate and leisurely, and I'm realizing it's my essence pace, and I really feel like I've rewired something in a beautiful way. And so I just wanted to add that word leisurely. That seems like my door to the yin. I'm so glad you're talking about this. It helps me, I don't know, feel better, I guess. My little inner critic is calming down that you said all that you said today, so thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I love adding the word leisurely. It just, it gives this sense of spaciousness immediately as soon as you say it. So I could imagine saying like, I'm going to help my daughter with her homeschooling in a leisurely way, or I'm going to clean the kitchen in a leisurely way, or I'm going to leisurely go for a walk. And just how that language could really create this sense of openness and ease and quiet. It's lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, it's like it adds self-love. Slow sounds like a critic to me.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Darlene. And I also like what you mentioned about the essence pace. She's referring to something that Gay and Katie Hendricks talk a lot about. And I teach this in some of my live workshops and retreats. But what you can do is you go outside somewhere and walk really fast, like you're in a hurry and you're really busy. Get into that yang energy and just notice how that feels in your body. And then spend a minute and walk way slower than normal and just notice how that feels. For me, I usually feel like irritated and impatient when I do that. And then for the third round, you're just going to say, okay, let me walk at my essence pace. What is my essence pace? How does my essence want to walk? And you allow your essence to guide you what your pace is. And it's a really cool experience of embodying your essence and noticing what it feels like to move in the world at your essence pace. Like for me, my essence pace is always slower than my normal pace. And it's just a nice reminder, like how would my essence move around right now? So that's what one of the things Darlene was referring to. And speaking of tuning into your essence, I wanted to kind of wrap up with a lot of people had been asking questions, especially last week, like how do I get in touch with my intuition or my inner knowing? How do I even know if I want more yin or to slow down? How do I do that? And how do I stay true to that in a world that's so yang, that's so go, go, go? And like, what have you done for me lately? And what have you accomplished today? It takes such a tremendous self-trust to own your truth and to walk in the world at the pace that feels right and true to you, especially right now, and to not feel guilty about that and to say, this is enough. I did enough today. I'm still worthy of love and belonging. I'm going to honor whatever it is, this need for rest and renewal. And so there was something else I wanted to read from another book that I was checking in with yesterday that was just talking about how the consciousness on our planet is evolving rapidly at this moment in time. And we're at a really interesting period where there is this big expansion where a lot of people are becoming more and more conscious, learning about mindfulness and becoming more aware and more awake. And then they're talking about how it's important to, while you're tuning into the collective consciousness, it's important to stay tuned into your own sense of individualization. Kind of keep yourself focused on what is important to you. And they have a couple sentences I wanted to share. They said, there's a possibility as the vibration on the planet continues to accelerate that you could get distracted. The distraction is a part of the collective consciousness. Many people want to be distracted, and there are some good things about that. If someone is having a hard time and they watch a movie, they get distracted from their difficulties, and that is good. But what we're talking about is a vibrational distraction, an unconscious falling into a groove that is not set by you. It's different from being busy. You can be busy and that is fine. We're talking about the issue of being distracted from what is important to you. So keep your focus and keep your intention. Ask yourself throughout the day, what is important to me? Is this important to me? Am I focused on what is important to me? If you find that you are living your life for other people or based on assumptions of what you think other people would like you to do, then bring yourself back to you. The more you are yourself, the more joy you will have in your life. So one of the things that I've been playing around with that's been really supportive, I started doing spontaneously very recently, was to take out a piece of paper and a pen and to write, I trust myself, again and again and again, like line after line after line. And I wanted to just do a 1 minute, like a 2-minute journaling exercise with you all to wrap up. So if you could get out a piece of paper and a pen, what I'd like you to do is to write on every single line for at least 10 or 20 lines, I trust myself. I trust myself. And notice how it feels in your body as you write, I trust myself, I trust myself, I trust myself. And I'm going to do it with you. And if you like, you can even turn it into a sentence that you fill in, such as, if I fully trusted myself, then I would. Or I trust myself and I'm going to, or I trust myself and what I need is. I trust myself and what I need is. And someone asked a question. The last sentence was, I trust myself and what I need is, or you can also just make up your own. What do you want to say after I trust myself? Maggie said, I trust myself to finish X. Yeah, if you want, you can type in the chat whatever you're filling that sentence in with. I just added mine. I trust myself. And what I need is to rest, stop doing things, read and wonder and percolate. Tristan said, I trust myself and my decisions. Oh, I love that one. Thank you, Tristan. Yeah, and just notice, how does it feel in your body when you write down, I trust myself again and again and again. I trust myself and what I need is peace. I trust myself to speak up for my own needs. I trust myself and let go of what no longer serves me. I trust myself that I am able to protect myself. Yes, these are so beautiful. And I know it looks like we have mostly women on the line. Maybe there are some men, but I personally, as a woman, feel like from a very young age, I was taught not to trust myself and not to trust my own inner knowing. And so a big part of reclaiming my power has been reclaiming my ability to trust myself. And so those two things are very interwoven in my mind. The more I can trust myself, the more I step into my authentic power. And it's been so empowering when I can do that. But I also have to be okay with other people not agreeing with my choices or not approving of them. And so a lot of that, like good girl or the perfectionist persona, the good student, some of those can get really loud in your head when you try to listen to your inner inner voice and your inner knowing. And that's just part of the process. Barbara asked, what book is this exercise from? This one I just made up. So the little sentences I read you were from something called The Council of Light, but the I trust myself and the journaling, I just made that up. And yeah, I'll put a link to the Council of Light as well. All right, well, I know we're at time, everyone. Darlene said, I trust the decisions I make, knowing and trusting there's no best way. Love it. And Sylvie said, I trust myself, and what I need is to listen to my inner voice rather than the shoulds that are louder and noisier. Yes. Yeah, so good. I talk a lot, Sylvie, about like the should versus the whispers of the soul, because it really does feel like the should voice is so loud, and sometimes the soul is like a little whisper that's just like you have to like catch it on the wind practically. So, and then, which is why meditation I think really helps, because when you get still and quiet, then you can hear those little whispers a lot better. And so I wanted to just also share with you all that what I'm also feeling for myself right now is this really strong urge to cocoon myself. Between COVID and my mom's transitioning, I'm really just wanting to cocoon myself and go inward and have a really quiet, restful period right now. And my inner voice keeps saying 2 months, just cocoon yourself for two months. And I'm like, but did the clock start on that a month ago? Or does the clock start right now? When did the 2 months start? I don't know, but I keep hearing 2 months and cocoon. So I'm going to do that. So this is going to be the last live Bringing Calm to COVID gathering that we're going to have right now. Sherry is on the line. It's so nice to see you, Sherry. And Sherry and I have been talking about maybe creating some small group coaching circles, and she might be piloting something with that I will join in a couple of months, perhaps. So stay tuned, look for more information about that. But for now, I'm also gonna, honor my truth to be in yin energy right now, to rest and renew. And I feel a lot of impulses of things that will rise, but it feels like right now I just need to be really still and quiet. And, it's interesting because it's so meta what I'm talking about today, because I see all of your beautiful faces and I'm like, but I want to keep connecting with these awesome people. And I feel I want to please you, and I don't want to disappoint, but I also genuinely enjoy this type of work normally. And yet right now, my truth is telling me, no, you got to stop. You got to rest. You need to take things off your plate. And so even though it's tempting to keep these going, I am going to not do that. And I'm going to practice what I preach. And I'm going to let my seeds just germinate for a while. But we will be doing some great stuff with the recordings and sending them out so that you'll really be able to access all of them and deepen in. And stay tuned for maybe hearing from Sherry or Sherry and I together. There will be more to come. Thank you for the kind messages. Yeah, well, I so appreciate it, everyone. And it's so nice for you. I'll be here whenever you feel ready to return. Thank you, Lisa. That's so nice to, I know, I hope this is helpful for others too, because there's this sense of if I don't show up all the time for everybody, they're not going to be there later, or right? It's an unconscious, I don't consciously believe that, but unconsciously there's a fear if we don't always stay in yang energy, if we're not always being productive and building stuff and creating stuff, that we're going to miss out on some opportunity, which is not true. Actually, the next opportunity might be more rich and profound if we let it percolate and we just go within for a little bit and honor that yin period. If this gives any of you courage to say no to something in your life, I hope that would be my hope for you, that you could honor your truth, even if it's scary or you feel like you might disappoint people, because I believe the world would be a better place if we could each do that. And as women, especially, we give so much to everybody else. And then there's nothing left for us. And I personally think that is also one of the biggest ways that we give away our power. because we're so busy. Like, one of my clients said she had this visual where she like had her finger in the dam of like her family business and all these, and it was like if she took it out, everything was gonna explode, and she felt really stuck, like she couldn't do what she needed to do for herself and her life. And so, sometimes dropping the ball, not taking care of everyone else is another way that we reclaim our power. And I just want that for every woman. So I got to make myself do it too. So, all right. FOMO, Darlene said, yes. So true. Thank you for all the kind messages and comments. I have loved connecting with each of you. And I know that this is not the end. It's just a pause. It's a little pause as we're all in a global pause. So I hope that you're each able to honor some of that yin energy in your life, to follow your inner wisdom, to let those seeds germinate, if that's your truth. Maybe you're also in a yang phase and you feel really good and clear about taking action. So there's no right or wrong about it. It's just whatever is true for you at this moment in time. Can you tune into that and can you honor that? And that's my wish for you. So thank you so much. Sending you all so much love. I can't wait to connect more in the future after I cocoon. And I'll still be in touch with, some newsletters here and there and other things, but I'll be mostly keeping it quiet. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Sending you lots of love.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gracias.
Watch them rock.
you.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
De rien. Hi, Tristan. It was so good to see your face.
Namaste.
Goodbye, everyone.